Hello, everybody. This is Dr. David Jockers, and today we are talking about 7 ways magnesium relieves stress and anxiety. As a society, we're really hardwired to have stress and anxiety. And, for myself, I tell people most of the time, I wouldn't feel stressed. Like, I don't really feel stressed, but because I'm constantly focused and I'm a goal oriented individual, I'm under a lot of stress. And then many of you guys, I mean, all of us have experienced it, or we're just overwhelmed by challenges that we're facing in our life, and we've got stress. We're dealing with anxiety. It's keeping us up at night. It's draining our vital energy reserves. And I'm here to tell you that magnesium can really be a breakthrough for you. I know for myself, since I've started supplementing with magnesium, I just feel more sustained energy throughout the day. I feel like little things really don't get to me. I'm able to bounce back from adversity and just overall have more resiliency in life. And that's, really the goal of this YouTube station in general and drjockers.com is to help give people more resiliency, because stress is a constant. We're always going to have stress, but if we improve our resiliency, we're going to bounce back from it. We're going to be able to withstand it and really thrive under stress. And so let's jump into this. If you don't know me, my name's Dr. David Jockers. I am a doctor of natural medicine, and I really specialize in helping people improve their energy, their digestion. And, I do a lot of talks on the ketogenic diet, on intermittent fasting, on using micronutrients like magnesium and food as medicine in general. Here's my beautiful wife, Angel, my little boys, David and Joshua. And, as we get into this magnesium, I've done a lot of presentations on it, and I tell people it's the master mineral. In fact, I was recently interviewed for a podcast, and the host asked me if there was one thing I could bring, one sort of micronutrient or supplement that I could bring to an island, right? Where my food was taken care of, but I didn't have any supplements. I said, I take magnesium, because in general, magnesium is just going to help give me that sustained energy and that level of resiliency that I'm going to need to face the challenges on that island. And you can see here, I mean, it's really important for blood sugar balance, optimal circulation and blood pressure, cellular energy production, helps calm and balance and stabilize our nervous system, which plays a big role in what we're talking about today with stress and anxiety. It's key for over 300 functions in our body. And so we'll talk about some of the best food sources of magnesium, right? Because we could definitely get it from food, but what drains our magnesium? Because, ultimately, if we're eating a nutrient dense diet, it's not hard to get, a good amount of magnesium from our diet. The problem is that most people are draining through their magnesium because their blood sugar's out of balance. This is why if you're in ketosis, basically you're going to have, in a sense, slightly lower need for magnesium than if you're not. So blood sugar imbalance is chronic stress. I mean, we're all under stress. The more stress we're under, the more magnesium we're going to use. In fact, they say magnesium is to the body what oil is to a car. So as we're using energy, we're going to be using up magnesium. So that's a really big factor. So both of those types of things. And, just in general, toxicity, right? And our body's constantly trying to deal with toxins in our society. So these are all reasons why somebody would be low in magnesium. And I know for myself, I ate a really healthy diet for many years, but I was still struggling with adrenal fatigue because I was working a ton of hours, really putting a lot of stress and pressure on myself. And my blood sugar was all over the place. I couldn't get into ketosis on a good level consistently. And as I started supplementing with magnesium, it made all the world of difference. My energy went up. My ability to get into and stay into ketosis was dramatically improved. My level of resiliency was dramatically improved. And so that's one of the reasons why I've noticed that with myself, that I'm such a huge fan of this. And so here's how it relieves stress and anxiety. Balances blood sugar. And, that's really the most important element of really good mental health. Most people don't realize that. Everything else kind of comes after that. But balancing out blood sugar really reduces oxidative stress in our neural tissue. The more oxidative stress and inflammation that we have in our neural tissue, the more we're going to have high levels of perceived stress and anxiety. And so that's really huge. And then that goes hand in hand with stabilizing cortisol, because cortisol is a glucocorticoid, meaning that its job is to help bump up blood sugar. It comes out when blood sugar is low to help bump it up. Or if we're under stress and the body says, oh, I'm going to need to run, fight or flight, I'm going to need to use more glucose for energy. So now I need more cortisol, right? So it helps stabilize, balance that out. Because if we have too much or too little cortisol, because if we have too little, then the body goes to adrenaline, which is more of an amplifier of the stress response. It's not as mild as cortisol. We're going to have, and also adrenaline promotes inflammation, whereas cortisol is anti-inflammatory. So if we have that, we're going to have even more problems. So it helps to balance it. So we get the right amount of cortisol released and the good sensitivity in our neural tissue and our other tissues of our body to the cortisol. Improves GABA levels. This is huge. And we'll talk a little bit more about this. But basically, when the body's under stress, we start to prioritize glutamate. Glutamate is an excitatory neurotransmitter. It helps us think sharply and quickly. But the problem is when we have too much glutamate and we don't quiet it and calm it with GABA, then we end up with neuroexcitotoxicity, meaning that we're actually damaging the nerve cells. We're actually killing them. We're destroying nerve cells because of glutamate toxicity. Sorry about that. And then it reduces brain inflammation. Balancing blood sugar, reducing oxidative stress plays a big role with reducing brain inflammation, alleviates symptoms of depression. We're going to talk about how inflammation is actually the underlying marker with depression. Increases neuroplasticity. We're going to talk about something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic growth factor, and how that helps with kind of this formation of new neurological tissue, which is so important. It helps detoxify heavy metals. I mean, we know that magnesium deficiency is associated with a decrease in cytochrome P450 and the NADH cytochrome reductase enzymes that are necessary for phase 1 liver detox. And for many people, they are really struggling with phase 1 liver detox. And so that's critical. Magnesium's huge for that. And then it also helps bump up glutathione levels for phase 2 liver detox. Phase 1 takes something from kind of a fat soluble to a water soluble form. Phase 2 helps deactivate it. Phase 3 sweeps it out of the body. And so just so important with this whole process that we are able to deactivate these kinds of toxins and get them out of the system. So very important with heavy metals, very important with all different types of things, organic pollutants. So we definitely need that. Also, magnesium helps stabilize the blood-brain barrier. So it helps protect the blood-brain barrier. When we're deficient in magnesium, much more likely to having aluminum, mercury, these different types of toxic heavy metals seep into the blood-brain barrier and start causing more oxidative stress and inflammation in the brain. So blood sugar, this is really how it should be. This chart on the left, when we eat, our blood sugar is naturally going to go up. Even if we're on a ketogenic diet, it's going to go up a little bit. But insulin should go up with it, and we should have good sensitivity. The cells should respond to that, and we should naturally lower that. And as you can see here, within 2 to 3 hours after a meal, it should be closer to baseline. And that's normal, healthy blood sugar response when we eat. Most people are doing something like this one on the right, where they eat and boom, blood sugar goes way up, and then insulin goes way up, and the cells don't really respond, or they over-respond to the insulin. And so what happens, they either get immediate crash, as you can see here, within 3 hours, or it's kind of more slower, delayed, and insulin is higher for a longer period of time. And insulin promotes inflammation and oxidative stress and faster cell reproduction and all different types of issues, that fat storage, right? All these types of different issues that are not good for the body when it's elevated for a long period of time. And then we end up going beyond, right, this key kind of threshold area and end up with hypoglycemic type response, where we feel dizzy, where we oftentimes feel nauseous, we have elevated stress hormones, we have anxiety, depression, all these types of issues, cravings. And so we got to get that balance under control. So how do we balance out insulin, cortisol levels, right? So stress hormone and blood sugar modulating hormones. Well, healing diet, right? I'm a huge fan of a ketogenic anti-inflammatory healing diet, getting a lot of good nutrients in, stabilizing our blood sugar with good fats. A lot of good stress reduction techniques, right? This is a picture of somebody kind of like clenching a ball, right? That can be good, right? Because you get a little bit of your tension out, saying positive mantras, having different techniques, meditation, prayer, right? These are things I use on a regular basis. Meditation and prayer have really helped me just be more aware of the thoughts in my mind, and helping quiet out the chatter, or the critical brain is just so critical with this. So important to helping balance out stress and promoting peace. We want to sleep well. Going to bed early is critical. Well, 1 hour every hour before midnight is equivalent to 3 hours of regenerative sleep after midnight. So if you're going to bed at like 12, 1 o'clock, not a good thing. I know for myself, when I'm in bed by 10, I just sleep so much better, so much more higher quality and more restorative sleep. And so I usually am sleeping from like 10 to 5:30 a.m., something like that. And I just feel so much better when I do that. So I would recommend really focusing on good sleep, deep breathing. So really taking time every day, or throughout the day, to just slow down your breathing and breathe deep. It helps quiet down the stress response, tells your body you're in a safe place. Grounding your body, so getting your bare feet on grass, dirt, sand on a regular basis. We're always surrounded by these electromagnetic frequencies. I mean, you're watching this video on either a computer or a device, phone or something like that, and there's electromagnetic frequencies that are coming out of that are harmful for the body. They're new. And so it's a new stress that the body hasn't adapted to. And so one way you can help blunt that is getting out every day and putting your bare feet on grass, dirt, or sand, or even concrete. Like my family, we take a barefoot walk every single day. We just go out and we walk around our neighborhood bare feet. We play on the grass with our boys with bare feet, because they were getting connected to the electromagnetic frequency of the earth that humankind has been exposed to since the beginning, since the garden. And so what happens there? We're exposed to that. It blunts and balances our electromagnetic frequency and helps create more resiliency in our body. Magnesium, like we're talking about here. And then after magnesium, I would say adaptogenic herbs, things like rhodiola, ashwagandha, cordyceps, reishi, lemon balm, different things like that can be extremely helpful. Ashwagandha, really helpful for creating more balance in our hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, stabilizing out our stress hormones. So we've heard that depression is really a neurotransmitter deficiency, or a chemical deficiency. That's what medical doctors and scientists have said for years. But new research is actually showing that it's actually due to inflammation. Like the underlying root cause is not a genetic inability to produce or to respond to neurotransmitters. It has to do with inflammation. Inflammation is like a callus on the receptors, and so basically it helps blunt the brain's ability to communicate with the receptor on the next nerve, in a sense, right? And so we end up, or oftentimes we do underproduce, but it's these different neurotransmitters, but it's related to too much inflammation in the brain. And so again, magnesium really key for balancing out inflammation, and also helps support the production of healthy neurotransmitters such as serotonin, GABA, norepinephrine, dopamine, different things like that, and helps with the sensitivity, right? Helps improve the sensitivity of serotonin responding to the serotonin receptor, so that there's a key and lock type of exchange, and the next cell gets the right response. Okay, let's talk a little bit about neuroplasticity, because that really plays a role in it. You can see these two nerves in this little gap in this picture, and all these different little molecules and chemicals. And so basically the one nerve hits threshold, it sends this chemical message throughout the entire length of the nerve, hits the end of the nerve, okay, and then it releases these neurochemicals into this gap, which is called the synapse, these little gaps. And scientists actually studied Einstein, right? They took his brain at Stanford and they said, okay, does he have more nerves? What's different about his brain than anybody else? And what they found was that he had the same amount of nerve cells as somebody else that would have his same brain size, right? And just really anybody else that was his body size. But what they found was that he had twice as many of these little gaps between the nerves. And so the theory is that, hey, more of these gaps, these synapses, give us greater brain flexibility, greater complexity of thought, and allow us to just be more creative and innovative. And so BDNF is this neurochemical, brain-derived neurotrophic growth factor, which helps stimulate the production of these little gaps in these neurons and these little synapses. So Einstein had a lot of BDNF going on, which created this incredible level of neuroplasticity, which, as you can see, is the ability of the brain to rewire and rebuild itself. And because of that, he was able to obviously do great feats. And so if we want more BDNF, which I know I do, magnesium really helps with this. Ketogenic diet really helps. Intermittent fasting really, really helps with helping with this BDNF production. Good movement, as you can see here, good nutrition, omega-3 fatty acids, good sleep is so critical. Exercise, so getting good high quality movement. I have an article called on aerobics, which is a specific type of exercise that really helps stimulate BDNF. You can find that on drjockers.com. It's called neurobics, like aerobics for your brain. And then balancing out stress, which we just talked about in the last slide. Okay, so we've talked about all the benefits here. Now, 3 ways to support magnesium levels. Well, definitely magnesium-rich foods. Epsom salt baths, also a really inexpensive way to support your magnesium levels. So if you're on a really tight budget, okay, you're like, man, I can't afford any supplements, then I would recommend focus on 1 and 2. Eat a lot of magnesium-rich foods, do Epsom salt baths on a daily basis, and that will really help, okay? Now, if you can't afford a supplement, magnesium could be one of your best supplements, best performance enhancing and most important supplements that you do take. So what are the best food sources? Okay, green leafy vegetables, Swiss chard, spinach, collard greens, kale, things like that, really good sources of magnesium. Grass-fed dairy, so grass-fed raw butter, grass-fed ghee. If you can handle dairy, protein, grass-fed raw cheese can be a really good form if you don't have a food sensitivity to that. Avocados, really, really good form right there. Avocados, pumpkin seeds, especially sprouted pumpkin seeds, great source of magnesium. Pink salts like Himalayan sea salt, good nuts and seeds in general. You ideally with nuts, as much as you can, soaking them, maybe sprouting them can be a really effective approach to getting more of the magnesium out of them and not getting as much enzyme inhibitors and lectins and different things like that. Now, you can actually purchase pre-soaked pumpkin seeds and nuts, and that's typically what I do. I don't soak them at home. I just purchase them pre-soaked. However, they oftentimes are a little bit more expensive, so you can also do it on your own. Dark chocolate, so dark raw cacao or 100% or close to 100% dark chocolate without the sugar, very good source of magnesium. Wild caught fish is really good. Sockeye salmon, sardines, anchovies, herring, different things like that can be really, really good. Sprouts, broccoli sprouts, kale sprouts, really good source of magnesium. I do radish sprouts as well. They have at my local health food store, and you can grow sprouts too. Mung bean sprouts are good. Sea vegetables, so kelp, dulce, different things like that, very rich in trace minerals, including magnesium. And coffee. Now, one caveat with coffee is that caffeine naturally is going to increase your body's utilization of magnesium. Same thing with dark chocolate. So if you use them appropriately, like it's okay to stimulate energy, right? Caffeine can be a performance enhancement tool, positive effects on BDNF levels and neuroplasticity, but you don't rely on that as your only source of magnesium because you're going to utilize it. Dark chocolate and coffee. So get these other foods in, a lot of these other foods in as well. In fact, I mean, you really can consume these foods literally every single day. You may not have fish every day, but I mean, it's pretty easy to consume the other ones, pretty much just about every day, a single serving or so on a daily basis and get, this magnesium into your body. Now, supplementing with magnesium, what are the best forms? Magnesium malate is really good. Malate plays a critical role, malic acid, in the Krebs cycle, in the mitochondria for energy production. It's a really good one. Glycinate, that glycine compound is really good for GABA, GABA production. So it helps to stimulate GABA. Also very good for liver detoxification as well. So that's a really good one. Citrate can be good. Citrate's also utilized in the citric acid, also utilized in the Krebs cycle as well. Taurate and orotate can be really good, especially cardiovascular health, and really good for like blood pressure. A lot of people use that for relaxing the blood vessels. Chloride, magnesium chloride, which is really good for detoxifying the body, good for the kidneys, good for stomach acid production because we need that chloride in there. And then L-threonate, which is kind of the newest form, and I found this to be the best for anxiety, for headaches, brain injuries, right? Memory, learning. Okay. And so personally, even though these are all really good forms, so if you're supplementing with these, they're excellent forms. I personally will use a combination of magnesium malate, glycinate, along with L-threonate. So I like all three of those, malate, glycinate, L-threonate, for my particular supplement. And I'll show that to you in a minute. But if you're having trouble sleeping, for example, okay, which many people are, We know, again, magnesium is a glutamate antagonist and a GABA agonist, meaning that's going to help balance out that glutamate to GABA ratio, which is going to help you sleep more effectively. For mild insomnia, so if you're mild, 400 to 600 milligrams magnesium threonate malate glycinate per night. If you have severe insomnia, I mean, I've had put people on gram to 3 grams right at night. And, you know, the reality is people ask me, what is the best dose of magnesium overall? And I say, you know what? The way that you know you're getting too much magnesium is you have diarrhea. If you have diarrhea, you're getting too much magnesium. So you can go up to what we call bowel tolerance. Figure out for yourself what that level is. Maybe it's 500 milligrams. Maybe it's a gram, right? Find out where your bowel tolerance is with a good form. Okay, now not magnesium oxide. Okay, I'll go back to these forms. Stay away from magnesium oxide unless you are unless you're constipated and trying to move your bowels, or, you know, getting like an internal enema, because magnesium oxide only has a 4% absorption rate, whereas these forms are a very good absorption rate. So if your supplement has magnesium oxide, don't count that as a magnesium supplement, but take these other forms here and get up to bowel tolerance and then back down, right? So if, you know, 1,200 milligrams gave you diarrhea, then back down to like 1,000 or 1 gram, you know, and figure out if that's a good form for you. So that's typically what I'll do. And this is the form that I use, Brain Calm Magnesium. It's nice tasting punch. And soon we will actually have a plain flavor as well that has no stevia, no flavoring in it as well. We expect to have that by, you know, right now it's early October, by early November, just a plain form, zero stevia, no flavor to it. But this is a fantastic supplement. It's what I use on a daily basis, what I use with my clients, and just rave reviews on it because, again, it helps stimulate more synapses through BDNF production. Really good for anxiety, headaches, insomnia. It's got this combination of magnesium malate, glycinate, as well as magnesium threonate, the new patented form magnesium L-threonate that helps cross the blood-brain barrier and really interacts with the brain. So again, awesome supplement. So if you've got, you know, if you're on a really tight budget, focus on food and do daily Epsom salt baths, which is you know, a good form of magnesium sulfate, which is good for detox and good for the body. If not, then, you know, you can still do those two things, and I would recommend them, but also do, you know, do a good high quality supplement, of course, is the one that I recommend. And you know what, if you struggle for some reason with that supplement, you can also do our Magnesium Oil Forms. Okay, and you can find all of these on drjockers.com on our store. And this is a magnesium with MSM topical spray that I'll have clients do that have pain. So if you have pain in your joints, it's a magnesium chloride with MSM, which is really powerful anti-inflammatory. And so you just spray it on, rub it in those areas really good. And for people that have chronic insomnia, I'll have them do the Brain Calm Magnesium and then also do this Good Night, which has magnesium chloride and melatonin, and do a pump on and rub it into the bottoms of their feet and on their arms. Okay, and so 1 to 2 pumps at night, maybe 15 to 30 minutes before they go to bed. Somewhere in that time frame. So that's what I will typically do with that. So hope you guys got a ton of value out of today's presentation. Again, you can find these supplements at drjockers.com. And if you do want to purchase anything, use our coupon code JOCKERS10, all one word, JOCKERS10 at checkout to save 10%. I believe it's a capital JOCKERS 10 at checkout to save 10%. We have free shipping on all orders over $49 in the United States as well. So check that out. And I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this. And I'll be back with another online training to help you guys. God bless everybody, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.